Hello, old school tubers, and welcome to my next Let's Play. We're playing Aerobiz Supersonic with me, Blue Ankylo. So yeah, I have a lot of my people I subscribe to are playing the new strategy games like SimCity and the new SimCity that is, and Civ 5 and all those other fancy new strategy games. There's lots, and I felt like, to heck with online only and fancy computers and stuff. I want to play some old school Super Nintendo strategy games. And Koei has made some awesome ones, so I'm going to play one of my old favorites. If you're wondering, I have played this before quite a lot as a kid, and I've done a couple test campaigns or test scenarios just to get in the swing of things so I remember how to play it a little bit. So it's not going to be blind or anything, but it should be a lot of fun. Now, the sort of premise here, if you've never heard of it, is you're running an airline company, and there'll be 3 competitors, and you have to basically get the most flights across the world. We'll get to it once we start the game. You make routes in between cities, you charge different fares, you can build, you can buy companies and build hotels and stuff, and you're trying to win a strategy of making the most profit for the most part and getting the most people to fly your jets. It's a lot of fun, and as much as it may seem like a Euro Truck Simulator 2000, it's actually quite in-depth. I've had a lot of fun playing this old game. If you're familiar with Koei games, especially Super Nintendo era, but haven't played this one, it's probably kind of similar. If you played, I don't know, what are some good examples? The Romance of the Three Kingdoms ones, Gemfire, a lot of those old kind of strategy games. It's got a lot in common with those. So anyway, let's get to it. When I was doing my test scenarios a little while ago, I played kind of the earlier ones, so I'm going to be doing a Supersonic one. The difference is the different ages have different planes, of course. So in the 50s, you probably don't have very many jets that can fly across the world. Even across the Pacific is difficult. In the future, making your routes long routes is much easier, which makes it a little bit easier in that sense, but also everything costs more. The jets are more expensive, the routes to open are more expensive, stuff like that. So it's pretty balanced, I think, if I remember. And I think the cities change quite a lot. Like in the early era, places like Honolulu aren't really developed. There aren't a lot of tourist attractions there. Whereas by the 80s, 90s, 2000s, those kind of places are major hotspots and you want to connect them up to make loads of money. It's just kind of a different strategy. And seeing as I played these myself recently, I want to play something different. So let's go with this one. And as you can see, it sort of explains, blah, blah, blah. New aircraft models. I'm no aircraft expert professional, so I don't really know a whole, I'm not a Boeing fanatic or McDonnell Douglas fanatic or Airbus, so we'll just use whatever's the best and stuff like that. I'm no jet fanatic. We are going to play on the highest difficulty because the game's AI is not super smart, and to further increase the challenge, I won't pick a super strong start. I'm not going to pick a weak city. I'm not going to start in like Africa, but I will pick a city that shouldn't be super easy, like New York start or something would be very easy. We are going to play from North America. So of all the continents here, you can see, or yeah, they're basically just continents. That's fine. The regions, let's say. Yeah, they call them regions. I'd say North America and Southeast Asia and Europe are probably the easiest to start in, whereas Africa and Middle East are very difficult. Oceania and South America kind of medium difficult, I'd say. That's just my own taste. I mean, there's probably a lot more experienced players out there that could win from anywhere. I don't think I could win a start in the Middle East on Supersonic. I think I'd be doomed. That's just me. I'm not that great at the game, but I should be okay. So we're going to start in North America, because I like North America. And we're going to start, I think, in Vancouver, because I live there, and Canada's awesome. New York would be the easy pick to make it to make the game a little bit easier for yourself, or maybe somewhere like Los Angeles. Strong coastal hubs are very good. The white dots are unacceptable to start in, I believe, if I click one. Too small to be the home base, yeah. You can't use those as hubs. You have to use them as a destination route from the green dots. So we're going to start in Vancouver in a second, though, because I have to go get the door. Back in a minute. And sorry about that, folks. I'm back. And we are picking our home base, right? So we're going to start in Vancouver. The only Canadian one, like I was saying, I think. And we'll see where our competition is today. All right. So unfortunately, the AI picked one on the same continent as us, so that's always going to be a difficult start. LA is going to compete with us pretty heavily. Mexico City doesn't look too threatening, nor Sydney, just from the first impressions. Um, we'll see how things go. I mean, the AI on Supersonic can be fairly difficult, so we'll see how things go. Now, as much as Air Canada is okay, we're going to have to come up with a new name. I think we're going to be, let's go with Blue Air. That sounds good. It kind of sounds like a good name, actually. Blue Air? I'd fly Blue Air. That sounds like a nice one. We're probably like a environmentally friendly airline with Blue Air. Yeah, let's go with that. Actually, I just thought of that. That works good. So we're gonna go with that. And do we want to change the rest? Let's go with actually, you know what? I don't really want to rename anybody else. I don't know. I can't think of any good names. We got Aussies and Mexicans and dirty Americans. That's enough competition already. Sorry to all of my Aussie, American, and Mexican viewers. A color, right? So, okay, everyone's already closed the video. So whoever's still watching, I don't know who's left. We're gonna go with our color being blue. I actually kind of like it with kind of black aircraft, actually. As much as I do prefer blue in general. At least there's a blue outline, but I actually like the black look a lot better myself when I play this game. I generally go with black. But that means Air LA cannot be blue, so they're gonna have to be Los Angeles. You know, they can be purple. Let's just make them purple. All of our enemies can have dumb colors. Or pink. Yeah, bright pink. Perfect. That's what you get. And Aussie, Air Mex. You know, green's pretty cool. I don't think you can be green anymore either. Let's make them like orange or something. Green plus blue makes blue? I thought it made like orange or something. Don't ask me about RGB color generation. Apparently green and blue makes more blue. Well, that's not what I wanted. Okay, I'm having a hard time with these colors here. No, I don't. Oh, blue. I've got too much blue. Yeah. Get rid of the blue. Green and red. Let's see what that does. Puke color. It's not very good either. Brown. Brown's good. Yeah. Well, it's not really very brown. And Aussie's last one, I promise. Let's just make them... I guess orange isn't too bad. I don't really like orange. It's kind of strange changing all these colors. They don't quite do what I expect. No, then I'll mix them up with the Aussies. I want them to be definitely different, so they can be red, yeah. Pink, red, and kind of brownish beige. Good enough. Anyway, I'll quit messing around. Precious time is being wasted. Alright, so let's get out of here. We're ready to begin. Yes. Alright. So, the game. Yeah, we got some explaining to do for all the newcomers. Okay, so Air Mex, you get to see what the AI, they got to go first. So they've already opened a route, that is to say. I'm going to mix that up a lot. Just forewarning, because in my Third Age campaign, everything routes, but in this game we make routes. So I'm gonna mix those words up a lot. Anyway, you got to see Air Mex start up a couple things. If you're really good, you can probably predict what the AI is going to do and, you know, do better. Anyway, we're the CEO. We're going to expand to every region, gain #1 market share within 20 years. The #1 market share mainly means we have more passengers than anyone else. Although that's not going to be my first goal. In fact, my primary goal early on is just to make the most money. And we start a little bit disadvantaged. Actually, I'm not sure. See, Mexico, there's their airline. You can see them flying from Mexico City to, okay, what is this? It's the one. I'll go over the buttons in a minute, but I just want to show you the competition here. Yes. Pick some random dude. I'll explain all this in a minute. They've got a flight from Mexico City to Sao Paulo. So they're already flying that, but it's a turn-based game, so they're not going to actually start making profits until, you know, we finish our turn as well. So, but there is their first flight, and, you know, we're going to be in North America doing the same thing, and Oceania will have one probably out of Sydney. They generally start, and then our other competition will be starting from LA, I think they said. So it's actually going to be a little difficult in North America. We're probably going to be heavily competed here. So we're going to be expanding out to, say, Southeast Asia fairly quickly, as well as probably a smart place to go early on will be Europe, because there's no competition over here right now, and if you can get a monopoly, you can make loads of money. So anyway, let's start explaining a few things. The first episode will probably fill up with just, you know, explaining how the game works. let's see. So in the top left, the reds can actually, I don't know if you can see my mouse. No, mouse is disabled during this, so I can't really point at stuff. But the red dot, that's our hub, of course, and the number above it is how many open slots are in that city. And we can negotiate for more with this button. So this is our negotiate button, and we have 4 little cronies that are going to go, well, they can do a couple of things. They can negotiate for slots, they can buy, to buy new slots, they can, this one guy, he can't buy new ones, but he can return your old ones, and you might want to do that to save money. In fact, let's just start off that. I'm almost likely never going to make a flight from Vancouver to San Francisco, so I'm going to actually return these 12 slots, and I'll go over the city screen in a little bit too. So first thing I'm going to do here is just give them back. It doesn't cost anything, and it actually saves us a little bit of upkeep. I'm pretty sure you have to pay a little bit for every slot you keep open. But anyway, so on with slots, the idea is every flight requires 1 slot minimum to make a flight. So if I made a connection from Vancouver to Toronto, which we probably will do right away, every flight will reduce the numbers on each side by 1. So if I make, say, 5 flights a week, that will require 5 slots from each side. That's kind of how the game keeps track of it. So you can't just go crazy and have as many flights as you want, and it's kind of a balancing act to see how many you need for how much you're going to charge and all that kind of stuff. So that's the numbers. We can negotiate. If I send my guys sorry, I'm going back and forth. If I send one of my guys to a place with no numbers, you can negotiate for some new slots to make a new route. Route? Oh, I'm going to do that all this time. New route. And whatever, that's how that works. This first button is make a new route, basically. The new route, and you can always start just from your hub in the area. So, and yes, it's very silly, Vancouver to Vancouver. We would never do that. So when you're making a route, let's just do one. I'll show you how it goes. So we're going to go Vancouver to Toronto. To open it costs 18 million, which is actually really cheap as far as connecting a new route goes. We've got in the bottom right, how much money is that? $1 billion? That's not bad. We've got $1 billion to start, and this will cost 18 million just to open it. And it also shows you how far it is. Apologies to everyone who's not in the States and doesn't understand Imperial. 2,000 miles is whatever it is in kilometers. I use kilometers personally because I'm Canadian, but whatever, the game's sort of made for Americans, I guess. Anyway, so this is the first step after once you've got the slots, then you're making a new route. You get to choose which plane you want to use, and for now we only had the one we can even use, which is the MD-100, because it's probably the only one we've got. I'll check that out in a minute. And we've got lots of stuff to explain here. We've got 5 jets available, and we're going to use 2 on this flight to start with, and we're going to use 2 planes and 5 flights per week, and you can see it's taking from the slots in Vancouver and Toronto as well. So that's that. Then there's fare. The way the game calculates it is kind of beyond me. I think it has to do with the distance more than anything, and then you can charge above or below the average fare rate. We'll start with 10% above because I mean I'm probably gonna have to keep my prices fairly low in North America because I'll have lots of competition. But for now, we'll start that up. And our first flight, huzzah, from Vancouver to Toronto. And we'll be micromanaging and changing the flights to make the most profit as time goes on. But I think this will be a good start. And you can see our plane going back and forth there, so that's cool. So let's go through some of the other buttons. The reason I did that specifically was this button is the edit route button, basically. So it'll show you our route Vancouver to Toronto. We'll be looking at this very often, basically. It shows you how much money you're making, what percent of fill it is, like how many people are on it on average. It's not like a per flight sort of thing. It just says on average how many people are on it. It gives you an idea of the number of flights you're doing. You can also, on this screen, you can change all the details. You can close the route. If there's competition, you'll be able to see how they're doing as well. So that's that one. This one I already sort of showed you. It's negotiate for share, or negotiate for slots, and we'll be using this. Well, let's start with this right now, actually. Seeing as a lot of our money, I intend to make routes across to basically all of these eastern seaboard ones, particularly Miami, Washington, Philly, and New York. New York is probably going to be very profitable, so it's pretty smart. I think probably start off with some negotiations here. Now, you can only generally buy, I think almost every time your first negotiation you can get 5 at max. You can see above it there's 160 slots in the city. In the earlier eras there'd be far less, but in the future, you know, there's tons of the airports are huge, they're enormous, so there will be lots more to negotiate. You can see the population, the econ for economy and TRSM for tourism. Those are kind of like how much the demand for those flights are going to be, and I don't know the difference, like whether economy is better than tourism or back and forth, but I generally sort of sum them up and I figure this one's worth about 126. So when I'm comparing different cities for new flights, I'll keep those kind of numbers in mind. And then in the top right, relations, I think the symbol means we're buddies. There's far worse ones where the color's red and you don't like each other, and that tends to make it harder to get the slots. So negotiations will take 6 months because we're friends. That's pretty quick for a new city. 3 months is the best, and the game plays in quarters of years, so 6 months is 2 turns. That's essentially all that is. So we sent our one guy off. We only have the 4, and you can also see they'll tell you like what they're up to and how long it will take. Might as well, while we're here, make a couple more. I think I am gonna start flying to Southeast Asia immediately. I think a route to Tokyo will probably be in our best interest very quickly, although strictly speaking we could probably reach Bangkok or one of the further away hubs, but I think the demand for Tokyo is going to be the highest. You can see they have pretty strong economy and tourism as well, and loads of population, so I think I'll start here. And again, this will be useful because there's no other competition here to start with. The guys in Sydney and LA and Mexico will have to also join in the fun, but they don't just start there, so that'll give us a slight heads up. We'll want to do a lot of international flights early on to connect all the regions as quick as possible. So probably Europe is another strong bet. I'm not sure 100% where the best location is. I generally go with London because I like making long routes rather than short ones. So if I pick like an inner hub, the distance to the other cities is kind of lower on average. Like you can make lots of flights, but they're kind of short range flights. If I start in London, I can do London to Athens, London to Rome, and they're fairly long range, The European flights are always going to be a little bit shorter than places like North America. It's just not that large. Anyway, we'll go for London. We're still friends with them. They've got good economy and tourism as well. A little bit longer for negotiations, but that's okay. We're not going to have enough planes to open up everything right off the bat. And I got one more dude. Where should I put this guy? For now, we're not going to worry about building stuff too much. I think I'm going to maybe hit Miami up. I'd like to hit all the eastern ones and at least have a route started. So let's go for Miami. Look at that, pretty amazing tourism there. This one actually has higher sum than New York. This one goes up to 130 by just adding them together. Again, I don't know if that's a great way to really compare, but that's how I like to do it. So anyway, that's the negotiation routes things, and I actually will return a few more. I'll also probably never make a route to Phoenix. So let's get rid of that. I mean, they've got an awesome economy, but... oh, by the way, I didn't mention it. The little pictures underneath the economy and tourism, those are available businesses you can buy. One's like a museum, a golf course, a hotel, and a commuter airline. There's different ones in different cities. We're not going to buy any of them early on, and I'll explain them more when we get to it. But they can make you money, and they can increase the traffic to your flights compared to your competitors. And they're also good for advertising and stuff. So there's lots of good reasons to do that. Now, I might make a flight to Dallas. I'm not 100% sure yet, so I'll leave that. And I'll probably do one to Honolulu. Although it's on the same side, it's still going to be a very long range. If you want to check that out, I think the only way to really check distances between cities is to just try to make a route. Sorry. I'm going to do that a lot. So Vancouver to Honolulu is still 2,600 miles. That's pretty respectable. It's only 2,800 to Miami or 2,400. So, you know, I like to keep it around 2,000 or higher, I think, as a general rule. So I might do Dallas eventually, Atlanta. You know, seeing as this is our home base, we'll want to be making some money here. And we're going to be competing with LA, which is going to cause a bit of problems. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so let's continue on with the buttons, you know, wasting time here. We've got basically create a new route, edit route, buy slots, and airplanes, of course. So manufacturers, for this time era, right now all we have is MDC, McDonnell Douglas, we've got Boeing, we've got Airbus, we've got Tupolev, and Ilyushin, however you pronounce them. The Eastern Bloc ones are not available in some time eras. Before it became Russia, when it was the Soviet Union, and the Eastern Bloc was up and all that, you couldn't actually buy across the, like if you're playing as Russia or whatever, Russian, Moscow, let's say, Moscow Corporation, you couldn't buy the Western ones, and the Western ones couldn't buy the Eastern ones. But in the future here, now that we're in the future, of course, you can just buy from everywhere. Also, I'm pretty sure the way the game works is that the ones that are on your continent from your home base actually have cheaper prices percentage-wise. So for us, buying Boeing is probably cheaper than buying Airbus, the actual price of the planes, I believe. Although I often like the Airbus jets, if I remember correctly. But I think they are cheaper if you're based in Europe specifically. I'm pretty sure that's how the game works. Now, I'll spend a second here going over some jet stats just to give you an idea, because some of them are kind of complicated. Some are really simple. It's the A340. It was produced in 1993, so it's already like 7 years old. It costs $110 million a pop. Pretty expensive considering we've only got $990. We're going to have to be careful with our money. I think LA starts with more money than we do by a fair bit. Let's see. So it has a range of 8,800 miles approximately, which is very, very long. As you saw, my cross-continent flights were only 2,000 or 2,800 at most. So 8,800 will get us from Vancouver to, I believe, anywhere in the world, pretty much. I think Vancouver to London is only a few thousand. Vancouver to Hong Kong is not that long. Maybe if we're trying to fly from Vancouver to the Middle East, it might be difficult, but whatever. We'll worry about that later. Underneath that is the capacity, how many passengers can ride, 330. For the long-range ones, you want pretty high capacity. In fact, in general, a large passenger capacity is quite strong, so that's a good stat. Higher the better, generally. Now, the fuel, the little gas tank, and the wrench are the complicated ones. That's fuel efficiency and sort of service costs, essentially. The higher the number, the better. And it generally maxes out around 80 or I think 90. I might have seen a couple of 90s. And then on the lower end, around 30 is like a gas guzzler with horrible repair bills. So higher is better. And I'm not sure for this era what great numbers are. We'll have to keep an eye on it. I think 6454 is mediocre for this era. So it's going to cost us a bit to run those flights compared to some other ones maybe. And then underneath it is how many flights with the stars is how many we're using. And the sort of hangar is how many we've got in storage. So that covers all that. So that's the Airbus. We should take a moment whenever you're starting out to look at what the options are. Now, traditionally, the 747s are great international or intercontinental flights. They tend to hold tons of people and fly very far. So this is a good choice for like a Toronto to London route, fairly low efficiencies, but humongous capacity for passengers. So it's really good for those long hauls. Pretty expensive, of course. Now, what else have we got? 777, slightly shorter range, more efficient. And that's all they've got, I guess. Just the two. At least it's cheaper, and I'm definitely going to need a cheap jet for whatever I start with for most of our routes. And 5,500 miles is still super long range. We don't even really need much longer than that. I believe from New York to Hong Kong it's 6,750. So we're going to be not needing even that much. Because that's the last game I was playing. I did that route. And the MD-11, 12, and 100 are all we've got here, right? Yeah. So we currently have... Yeah, so we started with 6 MD-100s, and they're quite cheap. So I guess that's a good starter jet. You can see it's got probably one of the lower ranges we've seen so far. 200 passengers isn't great for this era probably, but amazing efficiencies. 8679 is pretty good, and it's super cheap. So we're probably going to buy some more of those, actually. McDonnell Douglas longer range. These sort of compete with the 747s to some degree. And that one for sure. So it seems like the McDonnell Douglas ones are a fair bit cheaper. Maybe not quite as high capacity for passengers, but I think I'm going to buy a stock of these. It's their newest one at the moment, and new jets will unlock as we play through the game and the years pass on. But for now, this looks pretty good. almost 4,700 miles will connect basically anything I'll need, and we can always upgrade later once we've got more money. So I'm going to load up on these jets. Hopefully I'll be able to fill them up. 3 months delivery is pretty typical. I very rarely see a longer delivery time than that. So that's that. The only symbol I didn't show you is the world lease, where you can sell your jets if you feel like it. Especially when you're upgrading to newer ones, selling the old ones makes sense. As the game goes on, the older models are actually worth less and less, so you get less for them if you sell them later on. We're not going to worry about that right now. Okay, let's get through the rest of these tabs before the video goes on too long. This is your budget, of course, and for the most part, I like to just leave them all on maximum. The green bar is your current rating, also the number above it. So we've got 64 for repair out of 100, 7 for advertising is very poor, and 44 for service out of 100 again. We need to boost all these up to compete with other companies specifically. I like to get them all at 100. Of course, it costs more in your monthly or your quarterly upkeep. But unless you're really probably competing with humans or something, generally having them at max seems like the best idea. So we're just going to ignore all that for now. In fact, I'll probably never show you that screen again. This screen, let's go through quick. Business possibilities, I'm not going to go into those right now, but those are all the special buildings in the various cities. They will, like I said before, they'll increase some of your revenue and your connections. This one is to create a regional hub. We start with one here, but to make new flights in, say, Europe, we will have to build one in London after we've connected a flight there from our home base. Advertising only really works once you've bought some of those companies, and then you can sort of advertise those businesses. So if you buy a lot of hotels, you advertise your hotel chain, and it increases your flight passenger load for that continent. It's continent specific and based on a specific type of purchases. This I almost never use. This is your meetings. They just talk about stuff and they tell you to blah blah blah, open routes and blah blah blah. Who cares about this stuff basically? You can read all this if you want, but I'm just going to zip through quick. In fact, fast forward. No more meetings. Just get out of here. Get out of here. If you're new to the game, maybe it'll help, but I don't know. I don't really bother with that kind of thing. That's probably the only time I'll show you that screen. The info screen is a little bit more useful. You can double check your victory conditions with this one. Tells you what you need to do, how long you've got to do it and stuff. The other ones, regional ranking, yeah, we'll get through all that later. Mostly right now I just want to get the game going. It'll tell you what your routes are, what planes you've got, blah blah blah. I'm not going to go. If you want more info on the game, you can go there. This one actually does have a couple important things. We're going to increase the message speed right away. I should have done that first actually. And for now, I'll leave the sound effects and music on. I might turn the music off eventually because I find it annoying, especially when I go fast forward like that. It's probably not too fun for you guys either, but we'll see. And of course, you can save your game there. Anyway, let's get to it. I need to get at least one turn done on this first video. No, what did I do? Oh, that's not going to help. I ended turn by accident. That was a mistake. That was definitely a mistake. Anyway, you get to see an end turn. Air Mexico's kicking butt because they actually have a route that's running, and I'm actually losing money because I didn't start up. Although we have the most passengers for North America. Oops! This might throw a wrench in our game a little. That was not a good start. So again, you can keep track of what's going on in the rest of the world. Air Mex is opening routes like crazy, and yeah. All right, let's gee whiz. So oh, did I do something even worse? I'm not even. What the heck did I do? Did I did something even worse than ending turn. I messed the whole game up. Shoot. Well, okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to pause the video for a second. I think I wasn't even paying attention. I must have clicked like switch to AI control or something. I didn't even know you could do that. Oh man, sorry guys. This is a horrible start. I'm gonna get back to the beginning of my Vancouver play and we'll start over from scratch. Sorry. I should just delete this video. No, I won't. I explained all that stuff. That was good. Now I'll get back to the game and figure that out. Sorry, back in a minute. All right. Sorry about that, folks. That was a complete mess up. I definitely be careful when you're on this button. I think I must have hit end game or something, and it just quit for us. I thought it would take me back, but I guess I wasn't paying attention. I've never even done that before. So press the B button or whatever and go back instead of hitting that. Anyway, like I was trying to say, as I might end up turning the music off just because of the speed. Okay, so I've restarted the game, and luckily the AI picked the same cities, so it may not be terribly random where the AI companies start up. It might just be like where you pick, you kind of get the same ones every time. I'm pretty sure my competitors are the same. I've sent my team of cronies out to pick the same cities that I did when I showed you, and I've ordered my planes. But I figured I'd actually stop before I made my new routes again, because I've actually noticed, and I didn't even know this is new to me, that you start with different slots every time you start the game. Although we started with Vancouver slots, of course, but I didn't get any in Honolulu this time. We only got them in a couple cities, 3 cities, I guess. It's kind of strange. So maybe there's more slots here. I think the total's probably the same, but they just spread them out across the continent differently. So that's cool. It's a little bit random where you start with. Again, we're going to go with Toronto first right off the bat. And, I mean, this will be the same as last time, basically. I'm going to need lots more... Oops, no. 2 jets. I'm also probably going to take a lot of use of the fast forward button. We'll start... It's always a tricky balance of how much money you can charge, because you want your planes full more than anything. But you do want to make profit. And like I said, making profit's the first goal. For me especially. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, we need lots more jets to make all of our routes, and we will of course make one to Washington, because we've got the slots there and it should be profitable. And seeing as we've got the planes, we might go oh right, I know, I was gonna say, so I'm gonna start using a little bit of fast forwarding here and there, just to speed things up a little bit, because this is going to be a very long game if I don't use fast forward, because I remember playing as a kid and sometimes waiting for the end turns just took forever. I decided I will make one to Dallas. It'll probably be profitable. It's not the perfect route, but seeing as we've got the slots there, I've got the jets right now. I actually only need one to make 5 flights a week, so that's actually kind of handy. Costs you less in planes, so that's good. Seeing as we start with the slots, we might as well put them to use, and that'll do. So one other thing before I end this turn and try to get on with the game is you have to keep in mind that you can only make 40 routes maximum. That is the maximum of the game. That's part of the limitations of the Super Nintendo, but it adds to some of the challenge, because you're not going to be able to connect to every single city on every continent, in every region. So part of the victory conditions is having the most passengers in a region. So for instance, in South America, we're going to have to outcompete. We actually went first this time, I think. We went before Mexico did, interestingly enough. We're going to have to outcompete them by number of passengers. So we're going to need a few routes inside of this continent, this region. And the intercontinental routes, say, because eventually I'll probably open one up to Mexico City from Vancouver. That doesn't count. We need just inside this. So we're going to need like a few routes here. We're going to need quite a few routes in North America. So you got to be ready to spread them out. You can't just put all, you know, you've got 40 altogether. You can't just connect all of North America and all of Europe and all of Southeast Asia. And then you're going to run out of routes for Africa, and you still have to win there. So that's part of the long-term strategy. Anyway, let's get on with the game. I'd like to get at least a turn done here. So there's their route. We just went before them in the turn orders. Nothing different. They did the same thing, I think. I think the Supersonic AI will be very standard. It shouldn't change too much. So yeah, a little bit better numbers this time, seeing as we opened 3 routes instead of just 1. And Aeromex is raking in the cash. So the pink bar is your profit, the red bar is your expenses, the green bar is your overall income. So it's like gross, pink is like net. And Aeromex is off to an amazing start, actually. That's really good. We only made 9 million ourselves. So I'm going to have to tweak our routes maybe a little bit, see what happened. Although we are flying almost as many passengers as they are. So, interesting. I'm actually kind of surprised that LA didn't open up any connections on their first turn. They should have had tons of money. So, yeah, Mexico's going crazy, Aeromex. And then it's our turn again. All right. So we're winning in North America. Yay. And we've got our MD-100s. That should help. We're going to need lots of flights. And what else have we got? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do on most turns is double check our routes. Oddly enough, they didn't fill up as much as I was expecting. Wow, 24%, really? I thought these would fill up much larger. Okay, so that changes things a little bit. I haven't played in the Supersonic era much, so we're gonna, to start with, we're gonna maybe give a slight discount on our fares, because I want them full. I'm actually gonna still run 5 flights. Sometimes frequency is more important, and you just want to win the share over by eventually convincing people to fly with your airline. But yeah, I thought we'd have more capacity, more fill. 39%, that's pretty poor. Again, I'll lower the fare a little bit. Actually, maybe I'll give them a slight discount again. Still running 5 flights. I don't need the planes for anything else right now, so I might as well have them at lots of flights. But I'm definitely not going to open up any new ones. And this one, 24%. Wow. Let's go down to 5 as well. I might have to actually cancel some flights here just because it's so... Well, I'd like to have more than 2. Okay, we'll go with maybe 4 flights. Let's see how that works. I guess I might be used to flying with jets that have a lower capacity of passengers. These guys maybe just hold more people than I was expecting. That and, you know, Vancouver's not a strong start. You'd get more if you started in New York. That's just the way it goes. So that should be a quick turn. There's nothing else we can do other than maybe order more jets that we don't need. I can't open any new connections, so let's end turn again. We'll try to get at least maybe the first year done on this video. Oh, Sydney, lucky them. They get the Olympics. So that's really good for that airline if they have routes. Or routes, that is. I'm going to do that a million times. I'm not sure why Air LA and the Aussie Air aren't opening flights yet. I've never actually seen them. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, you can change how many cities, how many passengers, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can actually see all that. Like Airmex is kicking butt in South America, but the other 2 airlines haven't actually opened anything yet. That's really unusual. Anyway, we'll figure that out. Hopefully my game isn't... I've never seen it do that. There you go. It just took them a turn, and now they're going to start kicking butt. Yeah, so Air LA's got some new flights. Aussie's got some new flights. Yeah, they'll be fine. I was a little bit concerned there, but yeah, they're going to go crazy now. They were just saving their money up. So we get our slots now in a couple new places, so we'll be able to open some new connections. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to do that on the next episode. So hope you've enjoyed, and you know, if you're interested in old school strategy games, we'll be playing some more Aerobiz Supersonic. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and have a great day.